Hey there, friends. This is Melissa Correa. I'm coming to you from my home on a Saturday afternoon. I wasn't expecting to make this video, but I had a conversation earlier today, and it was the latest one in a series of conversations that I've had with television news folks who were looking to make a transition. And so I figured perhaps the advice that I shared with her could benefit you or someone you know. And so I had been in television for 16 years. And almost 3 years ago to the day, I made the jump from television news to government communications. And the questions that I've gotten from friends who've been investigative reporters, assistant news directors, reporters, and digital producers have been, how did you transition or edit your resume so that it worked in corporate America? It's a very real concern, and I think um, topic because you've been in television for so long, you've made your resume to truly sing with all of the success that you've had in television news. Oftentimes, your resume is a video of the work and the social media content that you've created. And so, putting pen to paper and editing or explaining how deadline writing and breaking news translates out into the real world can be challenging for some folks. So I wanted to share what I just shared this afternoon. It's not going to be everything. It may not work for you at all, but I'm hoping that if you listen to this, it gets your juices flowing and helps you become creative and recognize all of the ways that you can make a positive impact for a company. And I say this knowing full well that I myself struggled to recognize the skills, talents, and really experience that I had that could translate outside of TV news. I think one of the reasons why I stayed for 16 years is because I didn't think that I had any other useful skills outside of the newsroom. And that's just not true. We just need to look at what we're doing every single day through a new lens. So I've had folks, today a gal was asking me about internal communication specifically, but I've also had folks reach out to see if I could help them finesse their resumes for external communication. So I wanted to start with internal first. Internal communications requires or demands a very certain type of communication skill. One is upward communication. It flows from employees up to management. Think of providing feedback, ideas, assessments, suggestions, and key updates. Journalists do that every single day because you may find that news story, but you've got to then do the data, do the digging, and then pitch that up to management to get them to recognize the value of that story to your community. So journalists, by every sense of the imagination, are crucial and key at delivering upward communication. They're also excellent at communicating downward, which flows from management to employees, to stakeholders, to viewers, disseminating information, instructions, and policies. No matter whether you're in front or behind the camera, you're doing that every single day. You're taking that information and you're funneling it downward out into your audience. There's also formal communication, which uses established channels and formats like memos, reports, and official announcements. Need I say more? And then there's informal communication, casual conversations, quick messages, team huddles that foster collaboration and a sense of community. That is crucial for internal communications. Think of casual communications in the newsroom as those quick live teases, those Facebook updates, those Instagram lives, those TikTok videos where you're really just talking off the cuff, explaining what you're working on or summarizing a story. That's casual communication, and you're reaching a key audience that way with very specific messaging. From an external communication standpoint, one of the key benefits of external communication is customer communication, right? Whether you're working for a city airport like I am and you're trying to talk to the traveling public, the news media, city stakeholders, airlines, you by sure and far are dealing with customer communication as a journalist. That involves interactions with clients, addressing specific inquiries, providing support, and building relationships. I don't think we often approach news viewers as clients, but they are. We are trying to gain their viewership. We're trying to maintain that viewership, Jobs depend on an audience watching. And so look at your audience through that lens. Are you soliciting feedback from them? Are you responding to their news tips, their story ideas, the feedback they share on social media? Are you providing support during very specific types of reporting, maybe consumer-driven reporting? And how are you building relationships so that you can maintain the trust and the loyalty of that customer audience? Think about that. I think your mind might be blown when you look at a TV news audience as the client and everything you're delivering throughout the day. External communications also crucial for public relations, shapes the company's public image through press releases, social media, community engagement. If you have a contract with television, news stations, news companies, you very much are advancing their brand and their reputation, serving as a spokesperson for them. They're using your face and likeness to advance their brand. You very much play a role in public relations. And although you're not writing the press releases, in so many ways, especially when it comes to community initiatives, telethons and fundraisers and outreach programs, you very much are, in a way, soliciting for positive press and that collaboration with the community. Stakeholder communications involves communicating with investors, partners, other stakeholders about company performance and future plans. This works especially for those who deal with segments that are sponsored, who are dealing with those advertisers and local companies who are looking for a very specific niche topic or brand identity with the segment. Stakeholder communication can also be folks who are manning maybe perhaps a weekly kind of politics news segment where you're bringing in all of these local experts to talk very much about this. And beyond that, stakeholder communication can be all of the contacts that you are maintaining and developing throughout your time as a journalist. Those are all stakeholders in the work that you're doing. Beyond that, external communication really thrives in verbal communication. I think journalists have that ace in a bag. You just need to recognize that, right? Face-to-face conversations, video and teleconferencing, presentations, and phone conversations. Think about all of the ways you are communicating and talking with people face-to-face throughout the day. Written communication, emails, reports, memos, letters, responses, public information requests. You're looking for that data. You've got to word it just right to ensure that you're going to get the information that you need. And then digital communication, instant messaging, social media, website, videos. Whether you're an anchor, a reporter, an assistant news director, or a producer, from the folks I've talked to, everybody has a touch point with digital communications. And so it's crucial that you really explore all of your impact on that, what you're doing in a day-to-day, and then find the language that clearly explains how important your role is when it comes to digital communications. Okay, so let's talk about key skills and experiences. The gal I was chatting with today, she had a traditional news room resume, which is like the call letter. This is what she does. There are words like produce and live reports and different television kind of lingo words that were in there. We want to change that, move that into a direction where folks who are not in television news understand what you're saying. So you're deadline driven. You are a self-starter. You're a multitasker. You're goal oriented. If you are a manager or part of a managing team, how many direct reports do you have? What does collaboration with the employees, with the employee team, the corporation look like for you? Are you dealing with varying levels of employees with varying communication skills? It is so crucial that companies find folks who can talk to all swaths of employees, those who are white collar, blue collar, C-suite, and day laborers. They're really looking for somebody who can make that genuine connection. Journalists are data driven. You deep dive, you research, you analyze, you explain big gulps of information into a few key talking points or key points. Again, to your audience, to your customer, to your management team. How often do you have 30 seconds with your newsroom editor to say, I really want to deliver this story today. This is the key point. You can identify the selling point, the most impactful information after digesting all of that data. That is such a skill. Critical thinking cannot be just underscored enough when it comes to communications in the corporate world. You can handle confidential information with integrity and on a need-to-know basis. Your sales and marketing experience. Again, if you've had sponsored segments, when I was in television news, I had a couple of segments, including Texans Helping Texas. And I was very much into a niche market, looking for very specific stories. And that's an incredible skill because those stories can run dry if your innovation, if your creativity, if you cannot think outside of the box. So it's crucial that you highlight those sales and marketing skills. Journalists are empathetic. They know how to handle crisis and emergency communications. And I don't mean responding to breaking news. I mean the planning and the accountability and the resourcefulness that comes from crisis and emergency communications. Do you know how to pack a go bag? Do you know how to communicate to others on your team, how to plan and prepare for that? Do you know how to safely move through an emergency? Do you know how to communicate with other people about your safety, your location, and your whereabouts during an emergency? Have you gone through any FEMA training? Have you gone through any station mandated crisis or emergency training? Have you done things because of the world we live in, like stop the bleed or active shooter scenarios? All of those things help to create a mind that is directed in delivering crisis and emergency communications. Vast knowledge of different sectors based on your beat, your reporting, your investigative work. I, at one point in my career, dove deep into federal border patrol, customs, immigration. I was able to take big gulps of that federal mumbo jumbo and turn it into information that folks in the Rio Grande Valley could understand and move forward with. So what is the vast knowledge? What key sectors are you familiar with? And then what is your reach? This is the one that when I've explained it to folks so far has kind of been the aha, right? Because you're thinking in the newsroom setting, but when you're trying to jump market to market to market, you're considering that market size. So if you're a reporter in Houston, for example, do you report for the entire region? How big is that region? How many millions of people have you reached through your messaging? Have you grown your station's audience? Have you grown your professional social media pages? What do those key KPIs, those key point indicators, look like for measured success? Have any of your reports just really taken off? Have you garnered national attention for your television station by reporting for any of the national outlets or taken photos? Or have your stories been shared by CNN or NBC if you're a digital content creator? That is an incredible measure, all of that earned media to measure how great of a communicator you are. Never underestimate the size of your audience. Community impact, contributed to fundraisers, telethons, station campaigns, and initiatives. When I was being interviewed for the job that I have now, I believe they asked if I had ever been responsible for budgets or direct reports. And while I hadn't managed bukus of people, I had, at various moments of my career, done massive fundraisers. In the Rio Grande Valley, we responded to tornadoes in Moore, Oklahoma. That prompted our television station to raise more than $250,000 to rebuild those playgrounds. I led that initiative, the fundraising, the execution, the planning and development of those playgrounds, and then the final concept and delivering those playgrounds. And so while I wasn't always managing a team of people, I did have very key projects with big budgets that I could report to. So think about the community impact, the initiatives, the drives that you're a part of, and work that into your experience. You maintain and you enhance your company's brand and reputation. Like I said, if it's in your contract, 1,000% you're doing it. And for those who are forward or public facing, especially anchors and reporters, you're also a spokesperson and the advertising face for your company. If you got a billboard, if you got a commercial, you very much are a spokesperson for your television news station. And then also, don't forget the importance of the relationships with very key stakeholders, the mayor, county leaders, thought leaders, industry experts. Not only point that out on your resume or cover letter that you can talk to and establish relationships with these key folks, but when you're looking for a job, I tell you what, reach out to your contacts and your sources as well. I'll never forget that I was applying for this job with the city of Houston. And then midway through the application process, somebody with Harris County called and said, would you be interested in coming and working as a chief of staff for this department? I was interested, but I was too far down the rabbit hole with this interview process for my current job that I politely declined. But the person essentially said, I wish you had told me you were looking for a job because we see your work, we know what you do every day, and you absolutely have skills. And so I share that to say, I am not special or no different from any other journalist. Use the contacts that you have to gain support, insight, and potentially an interview down the road. Okay, a last few little bit of things. This was fun. I talked to the gal about this today. Have you launched any new media projects? Think online newsletters, live streams, digital shows, a helpline, SMS texting for businesses. When I was in TV, it was called ZipWhip, but they've got all of these text options now, so where you can text, politics to 123, and then you get the response. Are you driving any of those chatbot automations? Are you responsible for any of the messaging? New media is big for both internal and external communications as more and more companies are looking to engage with their employees. Explain to them what you've done. We now have an online digital kind of news show for employees at our employer that a colleague of mine launched. That's huge. Totally translates from television into internal communications. Do you manage your own social media content? How are you engaging online? Explore that one more time. Have you trained anyone? Is crucial. You may not have direct reports, but when I was in the Valley, I was responsible for writing the kind of onboarding manual for reporters down in South Texas. This is what we do. This is our brand standards. This is the digital content. These are key points that you need to know. This is what a deadline day looks like for you. And so I wrote a manual, and then I went about and I started training some of those reporters. It's crucial to identify yourself as someone who is a leader, a trainer, passionate, and an educator within your field. So list any training or training you've experienced that can boost your communication skills. Have you completed any other training or certifications that may be useful in the real world? Defensive driving, media and ethics courses, political science courses. Have you been trained by courses and kind of certificates offered by human resources? So many news stations are trying to do that now so that their newsrooms can be more evolved and empathetic to the community. Have you taken any First Amendment courses, which really transcend any communications job at any point, especially if you're working for a city or county government where you need to understand the Public Information Act? Do you use AI to maximize your efficiency? And I'm not necessarily talking about ChatGPT, but do you use Otter AI? I used that a few years ago to just kind of maximize the transcription of interviews, Grammarly, Copilot. What types of technologies, what are you using on your iPhone to just maximize your day? You'd be surprised. Some of the things that you think are just everyone uses, folks are still needing tutorials on. And then finally, can you build graphics and do you understand digital brand standards? And I say that the importance of it, especially in a communication and marketing job for a company, you want to be certain that you understand that, the importance of it. I now kind of play as a guardrail for our city department to ensure that folks are messaging and using the right templates, colors, and things like that. It's crucial to understand the importance of those boundaries and also be able to police those boundaries and make sure that your company is moving in the direction that they want to be. So this is 20 minutes worth of information, but you can see there's so much of what journalists do every single day that really can transfer into another line of work. For those who have reached out to me in the LinkedIn DMs or in text messages, so thankful and thoughtful that you've thought of me. If I can be of service to anyone else, reach out. This is just supposed to be a casual convo with all of this information in my head after the chat I had today. If this helps one person just find confidence to move forward in their next chapter of life, I'd be so excited. Feel free to send me a message, share more. And for those who are looking for work, good luck. You got this.